I am Father Roque D'Costa, a Holy Cross priest from India, but a member of the board of directors of the Family Rosary Crusade. A gospel passage for reflection today is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 23, verses 1 to 12, a very familiar passage to all of you. Jesus is simply reminding us that we have one Master, one Teacher, one Father, and that is God Himself. As the prophet Malachi asked, have we not all have one Father? Has not one God created us? Malachi chapter 2 verse 10. Hence, whatever authority we have, whether as teacher, as leader, or as a parent, all these come from God. We only participate in His authority. Hence, the reminder to use the authority we have in accordance with the mind and plan of God. This means we have to use it not to dominate and oppress people, but to serve them. The greatest among you must be your servant. We must participate in God's authority precisely to serve others, to reach out to others. We learn once again of the bitter conflict between Pharisees and Matthew's community. Our passage contains a clear denunciation by Jesus of the ways of the scribes and Pharisees. In the first part, the focus is on the religious teachers and their responsibility for ordinary people. The reference to the Pharisees sitting on the seat of Moses, in chapter 23, verse 2, could be a metaphor for Mosaic teaching on authority. Jewish Christian missionaries who proclaimed a crucified and resurrected Messiah found in these Pharisees their most determined adversaries and rivals. The saying also applied to Christian teachers who are warned not to be like the very teachers that Jesus condemned. Matthew's real concern is to address the problem of leadership that has fallen short of the ideal required by Jesus. Actions speak louder than words. Jesus cursed the fig tree because it had only leaves and no fruits. There are 4 criticisms or comments, instructions made by Jesus in the passage of today. First, the inability to practice what they preach. Chapter 23, verse 3. They must walk the talk. Their lives must reflect the message. They must teach whatever they commanded. They must embody His teaching in their lives. Second, do whatever they teach you and follow it. Do not follow the example. Jesus observed the Sabbath, but He insisted that His ministry to the sick took precedence over the Sabbath rulings of the legalists. He was critical of mere legalism. Third, the critique is the hypocrisy of a piety that seeks applause rather than the glorification of God, the widening of lectures and the lengthening of the tassels were for the purpose of making these evidences of piety more noticeable. Jesus' leadership is for service and not for self-glory. There's also stern criticism over titles of honor. Call no one your father on earth, but we are called to be fatherly, motherly, sisterly, and brotherly to all. And the fourth criticism deals with the true greatness in the community of the disciples. Matthew outlines the qualities of the greatest person in the community, the one who becomes servant of all. This ideal of church as a community of equals was later embraced by St. Paul as he moved among the early Christian communities. Paul begs his hearers to abandon the selfish ambition and humbly treat others as superior. You see this in Philippians chapter 2 verse 3 or Romans chapter 12 verse 3. Paul's style of ministry and leadership nurtures and feeds people. Jesus wants us not to be bossy, but brotherly and sisterly. We are called to greatness through humility and service. May the example of Jesus inspire us and challenge us to follow his example in our style of leadership.